Sorry. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Board meeting of August 4th, 2020. In response to COVID-19 pandemic, the Planning Board will conduct a remote meeting this evening pursuant to Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12 related to public meetings. The town office will be closed to the public and only 3 people will be physically present. The meeting will be broadcast live on Litchfield TV and YouTube channels. In addition, the public can call to listen to the meeting or provide public testimony during a public comment session. Public testimony can also be submitted to the town office during business hours or sent by email no later than 2 p.m. on Monday, August 3rd, 2020. Please contact Joe McKibben, Planning Board Administrator. I will forego the Pledge of Allegiance this evening, and I will move to the appointment of alternates. Actually, perhaps what I should do is roll call of members present first, just to see who's on the call. Michael Proto, Chair.
Kimberly Queenan, Vice Chair.
All members present first, just to see who's on the call.
Kate Stevens, member.
Proto, Chair.
James Buffetti, member.
Okay.
Ron Stevens, member.
Okay.
James Buffetti, member. Curtis Sampson, alternate.
Okay.
Kevin Lynch, Board Selectmen's Rep.
Okay. All right. Well, it looks like we have a quorum this evening. I don't think we'll need to appoint an alternate. First item is the public input on non-agenda items not on the agenda. Is there any members of the public who wish to comment on non-agenda items this evening? Items not on the agenda for this evening. And I guess, okay, hearing none, I will close public input on non-agenda items and we'll move on to first order of business. VAB storage unit, map 1, lot 1855, Charles Bancroft Highway. We have an update on minor changes to site. Is the applicant on the call?
Yes, this is Paul Chisholm with Keach Nordstrom Associates, and I'm here, and I think I see Dana Boucher, the applicant, on the call as well.
Good evening.
So I don't know if it would be helpful for me to share my screen. I have a PDF that shows 4 amended sheets from the originally approved site plan that I can share and kind of walk through. I've kind of on those plans highlighted areas that are changed, and they're overall I think you'll probably find they're pretty minor in nature, but I can walk you through all of them. It's probably easiest just to be able to look at them. So is that a possibility, or?
This is Jay. I do have the PDFs up on my screen. I believe I'm sharing them, but I don't know if people can see them. I don't know that they have the highlights that you referenced up.
Okay. I see a gray screen on that you're sharing, Jay. So it's not showing anything on my end.
Interesting. Okay.
Jay, you were sharing a document beforehand, so you may want to unshare it and reshare it again.
All right.
Yeah.
Who is that?
I'm going to stop sharing.
There we go. Okay. So I guess I'll start it off on this sheet. So this is just the overview plan. Again, we just amended 4 of the sheets within the previously approved site plan. This sheet isn't the best really to kind of talk about, other to say that there's a couple notes that were modified or added on this sheet, mainly note 19, which is over on the left-hand side. It's the last note over there. Basically, the big change here, if you will, is the U-shaped building on the bottom right-hand side of the development. That's a building that may be built at a later date. They're not proposing to construct that today. that area is going to be loamed and seeded. So that's really the big change, I guess. And note 19 speaks to that. Jay, if you want to go to the next sheet, I can kind of go through sheet by sheet and just walk through all the changes. So this is the amended removals plan. You'll see a greenhouse over on the bottom left-hand side of the sheet. There was parking proposed right up against the greenhouse there, and that was actually on the original plan going to be the leasing office for development. The leasing office has moved. I'll show you that in a moment. That display greenhouse will remain as is. We've amended this area to basically include pavement removals as you'll see on the next sheet with the edge of pavement. And then the other thing is there was just to make up for some other areas of pavement that changed, we just did patching. So nothing made on that. Jay, if you can go to the next sheet, please. Okay, so this is the amended site plan. You'll see the 4 spaces over by the display greenhouse, again, in that bottom left-hand corner. In dealing with
Hello? Did we lose somebody?
It looks like we may have lost Paul.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Did you hear me?
Looks like he's trying to call in.
Windy out there.
Well, at the risk of stealing his thunder for what it's worth, this is the area where the leasing office is relocated, taking up part of the storage building that was previously approved here.
Okay. Jay, where were you showing those? Are you sharing those the information?
I am. I am sharing the most recent version of the site plan, the amended site plan.
Okay, because I don't see it on mine. I'm sorry.
Does anybody else see it?
I see it.
I see it.
Oh, wait a minute. Try something here.
I can't. No, I'm on phone.
Jay, this is Kate. I still can't get into the video. I was hoping to use YouTube to watch the video part. Is there any way you can email those out?
Let me give that a shot.
Yeah, that might be helpful.
All right, I'm going to have to stop sharing for a moment.
So it just pinches those two in a little bit. Jay, are you still there? Am I still connected?
You were gone for a while.
Yeah, you kind of
Oh, no. Okay. There's a storm rolling through here, so I apologize for that. I think my internet might have cut out.
So if you could just bear with me for a moment, some of our planning board members were not able to see the screen. They're not able to log into the site, so I am emailing them the most recent plan. So just bear with me for 1 second. Okay, that should be out to everybody at this point.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jay.
All right, and I am.
I got it. Okay, thank you. Perfect.
Got it. Thanks.
All right, and for those who are able to see the screen or were able to see the screen, can you see the plan that I'm sharing?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, I can see it.
Thank you.
Okay, you want me to, I don't know where I left off, but over by the greenhouse and
You
the.
left off, yeah, the parking spaces in front of the greenhouse.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take it from the top then. So that hatched area is just a loamed and seed area where pavement's going to be removed that's existing today, and basically it's going to be just a little bit green around those parking spaces. So the office was in the display greenhouse originally on the original site plan. That is now going to remain as a display greenhouse. The rental office will consume the first 10 feet of the first building on the left-hand side where Jay is kind of scrolling over right now. So that was reduced in size. I think it was like 12 or 1,500 square feet before, and it's down to 300 square feet now. So additionally, we just put some extra parking spaces over there, including the handicap space. And you'll see behind the building, there's a little bit more erosion stone than what was on the original plan. That was just, to prevent basically any future erosion. It would have been a very small area of greenery or lawn, so it would have been hard to kind of maintain and keep at a good level of grass, so you wouldn't have any erosion issues. So that whole area is stone now. There's additional stone along the left-hand side of the drive, the development, basically along the left-hand side of most of the buildings there. So just some additional stone where areas, really just to keep them stabilized for not just for now during construction, but also long-term. It's just going to help out with that. That first building there, as well as the topmost building on this same plan, both moved in closer to the adjacent buildings by 2 feet. So we have 28 feet clear everywhere between all the buildings at a minimum, except for those two. Those are now 26, which is still adequate. But it did move in a little bit closer, just basically because foundation construction required that they moved a little bit further away from where the stormwater areas were. So they just kind of got pushed in a little bit there. On that same note, there's also bollards that are now shown on this plan right off the corner of each of the buildings, or right off each building corner, I should say, that weren't on the approved plan as well. And then Jay, if you can take it to sheet 4, which is the amended grading and drainage plan. So you'll see that the block building on the left-hand side of the driveway, there's a new drainage connection that goes down towards Charles Bancroft Highway. We're showing this tying in over between CV5 and DMH1. The final location of that, we're going to try and hammer that out with an infield meeting tomorrow. The DOT didn't want us connecting into the right-of-way anywhere, so we have to do that somewhere on private property. So I'm showing what I think works here, but we've got a couple obstacles to work around: trees, utility pole, and there's a leach field out there somewhere as well. So that may change a little bit from what you see here, but for the most part, that's the general idea. It's going to end up basically connecting in between that CV5 and DMH1. So those are the changes. I think we would probably qualify for minor changes in accordance with section 175.6, the site plan review regulations. In talking with Lou and talking with Joan, we all just felt it was appropriate to kind of come here and update the board on the changes and make everyone alert of what's going on, and get input from you guys, I guess, and kind of take it from there. So like I said, I think I see Dana Boucher on the call if he's still here. So him or I could certainly answer any questions that you folks have.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
Hi, this is Kate Stevens.
Yeah.
I just had a quick question on if the fire department had weighed in on, I saw you were adding posts around the buildings, and by reducing that width, if they had been just double checked with to make sure there wasn't any issue moving fire trucks through there.
We have not checked in with them, but the building footprint that you see is the actual foundation where the edge of the walls are. So I think the roof overhang actually extends into that same area. So, and they're not overly tall buildings, so I have to imagine the clear space is pretty similar to what it was before, but that's certainly something we could run by them.
Okay, thanks.
Paul,
Yep.
did someone go out and measure the distance between the bollards?
Yes, yeah, I was out there actually earlier today, and so I measured off the building where they were, and we put them into CAD here, and then got a measurement that way. So we didn't as build all of them or anything like that, but I took a few measurements. They're about 15 inches at a diagonal off of each corner.
Okay. And the two sidewalks off of the new parking by the display greenhouse,
Yep.
you have dimensions for those?
Those are 4 feet wide right now,
Is
currently.
that what you want them when you're done?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is that what you want them as, 4 feet?
Yes, I believe so. Dana, do you?
Yeah, that's 4 feet's fine.
All right, probably ought to add a dimension there.
Sure.
And that's it. Nice hatching on a Loman seed. That really clarified what you're intending.
Yeah, Lou, thank you. I think that was a good suggestion. It certainly clarifies things so there's no confusion later.
Okay, thank you. Jay, anything to add to this project?
No, not really. I think as you may be aware, Lou had several comments. I think the applicant has addressed them. This plan actually is in response to most of them, so I concur with those comments. Otherwise, these amendments are really very minor, and so I have no issues.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody have anything else that they want to ask? Okay. At this time, I'll open it up to public comments. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this plan change?
Hello, this is Kim.
Hi, Kim.
I'm sorry I was on mute when you had asked
It's all
my
right.
question. Just quick, I don't think it's a big issue, but I remember there was a lot of notes on the drawings, which were great. Did any of them say that there couldn't be businesses in any of these storage units? And if so, can we just have a note that says their headquarter office will be there?
I don't recall seeing a note like that, but before I finalize the submission, like we still, I think, should submit stamped drawings just kind of for the record to town hall. So I'll go through that and make sure that there's no conflicting notes with that. And if there are, I'll just update it to basically say that there's going to be a 300 square foot rental office in the first building. So.
Because I thought I remembered that there wasn't supposed to be any businesses running in there, but I understand why you have the space.
Gotcha. Yep. Thank you for that. I will check and make sure that is all set before we submit the final plans.
I have another question. Do you anticipate with the changes, I actually have a meeting tomorrow, and you're saying it's going to be on private property. Is it the same owner? I mean, do you foresee any problem doing what you have to do over there?
No. This is the property is very much kind of, even though they're separate, they are owned by the same entity, and they kind of work in tandem with the driveway and some other stuff already. So this is just another piece of that.
Thank you.
Just a question of Jay. This is a minor change to the approved plan. Do we need to do a conditional approval, or would it be up to the town engineer to sign off on it if we feel that it's appropriate?
Yeah, I think you wouldn't need to do a conditional approval unless there is some other condition that any board member wants to attach to the approval. You could just approve the amendments to the approved site plan.
Okay, thank you. All right. Mr. Karen, is there anything else that you want to add? Or I know you have provided your recommendation.
No, it all looks pretty good. I'll be meeting with them tomorrow morning over that drainage issue. If anything pops up,
Okay,
we can talk about it some more.
okay. Very good. So I'm getting back to public comment. I don't want to forget. So any members of the public who wish to comment on this project at this time? And if there's nobody on the call, you can let me know.
I don't see any public members. So you should be
Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. So at this time, I will close public comment. I'll bring it back to the board. What would we like to see for conditional approval for this modification? I assume we're going to want to have, as part of that condition, Lou's recommendations to the applicant to add information to the plan. That would be Plan Sheet 3, the amended non-residential site plan, and Plan Sheet 4, the amended grading and drainage plan. Anything else that we want to add?
I would just say we just follow what Lou has done. And he'll work with the owner. That's how I feel about it. There's nothing unusual about putting minor changes like this to commercial construction. I think you just get it so you back before let Lou handle through the end. I think Jay agrees with that.
Kate, what about you? I know you mentioned something about the fire emergency.
Well, from what I understand, the new posts didn't go out past where the roof had already extended. So I would think that the fire department should be fine with that. So I'm okay with that. So I'll make a motion to conditionally approve the plan amendments to go along with Lou's comments.
Okay.
As long as Lou's comments or concerns are addressed.
Okay. All right, I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
This is Jim Buffetti. I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. I'm going to do a roll call of members. Michael Proto, aye.
Kimberly Queen, aye.
Kate Stevens, aye.
James Buffetti, aye.
Ron Stevens, aye. Okay.
Ron Stevens, aye.
Ron Stevens, okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Any people opposed or abstained? All right. Motion passes 5-0-0.
Thank you all very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Thank you. All right. Moving on to number 2, Master Plan Community Facilities Chapter Survey. Jay, what do you have for us?
All right, so best laid plans, right? I'm trying to share my screen for those who can see the shared screen. Can you see what I'm sharing?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Jay, you're not sharing right now.
There we go.
Yeah, 'cause-
All right. Sorry about that.
all right.
So for those who can see the shared screen, can you see what I've got up there now?
Yes.
All right. So
Okay, yeah, I think I got it. Hold on. Yeah.
I've got a. Oh, I'm sorry.
This is on the
Yep, I got
cemetery?
it. I'm sorry. I can see it.
All right. I have to apologize for the folks who can't see what I'm sharing. My intent was, so I drafted a survey, and this survey is drafted in one of the platforms that we use. So what I'm sharing you is actually a web link. But since this is not published, I can't share the link with anyone else. So for anybody who can't see it, I do apologize. So basically,
What is it showing us?
I'm sorry?
What is it showing? The cemetery? A picture of the
Oh,
cemetery?
it's a placeholder. Yeah, I stuck in a picture in there just as a banner. I wanted to find a better one, but all the pictures that you see in here are, first of all, not necessarily pictures that we would go with. Secondly, we may decide we don't want to go with pictures. So I just grabbed something quickly. Obviously, this is a draft survey. So what we're hoping to do is get your input, one, on the questions themselves. We don't necessarily have to wordsmith it, but are these the questions that we want to be asking? And then are there any additional questions? So again, I stuck in pictures. We don't have to have in pictures, but I put in there's a little banner picture up there. The way I'm sharing it now is the way somebody who was taking this survey would see it, when they clicked on the link. So that was the reason I kind of chose this method. Again, I stuck a little icon here of the historical town hall. Don't need to do that. Could stick in this, the town seal as an alternative. And stop me at any point. So the first question is really a very large multi-part question. So what this is intended to do is to get people's thoughts about the adequacy of various town and school facilities. It is a very exhaustive list. So first of all, obviously, the choices, I think these are very typical: excellent, good, fair, poor, very poor, no opinion. Don't have to have this many choices. Could have more choices, but these seem to be, to me, pretty reasonable. We may feel that we have included too many. So there certainly could be things on here that we decide we really don't want to include. And we also may decide that there's things that I did not include that we should. But basically, obviously, we start off with the library. We put in Albuquerque multipurpose path. Pretty much all of the recreational fields, parks of any significance, conservation areas that people access are all shown here. Again, if there's anything I've omitted, let me know. I could add it. If there's things on here that you just don't think make sense to ask about, we could certainly cross them off the list. And then, of course, we included the school facilities. I'm starting to scroll down the list a little bit. And then we jump into the main town facilities that I figure people would have familiarity with, and then the school facilities. Obviously, this is not every single facility. Salt shed, something like that's not on here. And then there is an open-ended, and this is, I do this pretty consistently, stick in an area where people can make comments.
Good.
So again, I don't know if there's any thoughts on this. I'm going to keep moving, but stop me if you don't want to. If you want to. So now, whether the wording in here, the things that we have, I've stuck in here, we want to include or not. A lot of what the questions that are coming from this point forward are based on requests that departments have made to the CIP committee. So there's some specificity in here, and maybe we're being too specific. So, but the first question is on the police station. Again, it's specific because we actually have a proposal for a 12,600 square foot police station. that would replace the existing facility. What was proposed was this would be an addition onto the fire station next to Town Hall. And we also have a cost, so I attached that as well. Again, it's an estimated cost. And threw in a little bit of verbiage. I never like to steer people, but I also felt that it was important to give at least a couple words as to why the department's proposing them. So again, we could say more, we could say less, but the point of this question is to see whether or not people would support an expanded police station, a new police station. Maybe we want to ask it, maybe we don't. And then once again, and I'll say I do this pretty consistently too. Of course, there's a yes or no. I think it's always important to give people the option of saying they're not sure or they have no opinion. Of course, they may have other thoughts, and then again, they can provide comments. The next one is Highway Department. The Highway Department has actually had multiple requests, and so I can talk a little bit about those. I'm not wedded to this picture. It's actually not a great picture. I'd probably replace it if we go with pictures. But putting that aside, so among the requests that the Highway Department made that I thought would resonate the most with the general public is the 6-year plan that they proposed for paving improvements, drainage improvements, other improvements to roads. The object of that is that some folks may recall is we did a road surface management study for the town last year, and on the basis of that, identified road conditions for every single road in Litchfield. And so what Highway Department did is take that information and come up with a 6-year plan to basically bring all roads in the town to good or better. So that's what was proposed. There was an annual cost to that of $400,000 a year. That's $200,000 on top of what we're already allocating. That seemed to be something that the public may or may not wish to weigh in on. So again, that question is put there. What I did not include. So there are equipment purchases, vehicle purchases that the Highway Department proposed. My sense was we can always include those. My sense was that the general public probably doesn't have enough familiarity with the vehicles that the Highway Department has to have an opinion. I could be wrong on that. Maybe we do want to include those questions. I didn't. Another one was a new salt shed that was proposed. I kind of leaned on that may not be of sufficient public interest to put on a survey. We could certainly decide we want to be more inclusive and add a question like that. Moving on down to the library. So the library has proposed, or the trustees have proposed, replacing the existing library with a new library. It'd be a single-story building. I didn't put in the square footage because in the proposal that we received, there wasn't a firm square footage. I want to say it was around 18,000 square feet, probably what came out of the study, but I didn't put that in here. Nevertheless, there's the rationale for why the trustees feel we need it. Obviously, it's a pretty small library. It's an old library, but this would be a new facility. There's a ballpark cost of around $3 million. Then moving on down, the Conservation Commission has requested $2 million in funding to support the acquisition of various properties. Again, trying to, provide some information without being overly specific. I realize this picture here might not represent the types of property that the Conservation Commission is targeting, so I would probably change that picture. Again, so go ahead. So nevertheless, that seemed to be a good and reasonable survey question. We do have some proposals from REC for some improvements at Darrow Pond. They're really repaving parking area improvements. I didn't include those because those didn't seem to be, again, kind of something that would rise to a survey. The next biggie, and I do need a good picture of Griffin Memorial School to stick in here. So the biggest request for the school department is a new approximately $30 million pre-K through 5 elementary school to replace the existing Griffin Memorial School. And if I understood correctly, that would be built adjacent to the middle school on that middle school property. Obviously, this is by far the biggest request. So I put this in here. I did not put in some of the other requests from the school department, and I think that those are debatable. There are some significant requests in here for energy improvements to the 2 other schools, to the middle school and to the high school. Those are pretty big dollar amounts, about 1.3 million. So, I'm back and forth on whether we want to put in a question like that. The value of adding the questions is, 1, those are pretty significant investments, but 2, it does show that there is a plan to address the other schools, not just the elementary. So I'm back and forth on those. I'm leaning towards actually probably adding them, but again, I'm open to thoughts on that. And then I go in a different direction, and because one of the issues that's come up is with new buildings, what do you do with existing buildings? So the first one I put up was, if we do build a new library, what do people feel should happen to the old library? And again, you can read them, but for the benefit, I guess, of those who are calling in, one option is retain the existing building for use by, the Historic Society was mentioned, maybe other civic groups, maybe it's additional meeting space. Demolish the existing building, but hold on to the land. Sell the property with covenants to protect the historic building, sell the property without covenants, and then again, of course, the not sure, no opinion, or other. Maybe there's other thoughts that people have as alternatives. So, be happy to add other options if we think they're out there. Same thing with Griffin Memorial School. Stuck on a question, what do you think the best use of the building would be? Really very similar. It is a building that, that's been added to the State Historic Register. Should we retain it? One option I know that was discussed was converting it to a rec center. Another is turn it into SAU office. Then again, demolish the building and keep the land. Sell the land with covenants to protect the historic portion of the building. Sell it without restriction to maximize the sale price. I also kind of hemmed and hawed. Another question that we could put in here is if we build a new police station, we vacate the existing police station, what do people think that space would be best to be used for? So I could certainly stick in a question on like that. Really, the alternative that came up was, again, SAU office. So that could be a good location for that. It could just be set aside for town hall expansion. Maybe there's some other use I'm thinking about. So that's another question that we could answer, that we could stick in here if we felt we wanted to. Another potential question or some other potential questions in here is we could also include some open-ended questions. So for example, we ask people to rate their level of satisfaction with a wide range of town facilities. If we felt it was important, we could stick in a question about are there any recreation improvements or facilities that you would like to see? Open-ended. You could do the same thing for anything really, conservation land acquisition. So it's certainly possible that we could add some open-ended questions just to gauge people's thoughts on other possibilities. And then there are also things that we may not have proposals for on the table right now, but maybe they're things that we should think about in the future. So for example, one of the things that has come up in conversation is Talent Hall. There's no proposal to replace that at this point, that facility, but it has been suggested that there are challenges with that building and maybe longer term. That's something we want to think about. I didn't put anything in here on that, but that's just an example of maybe something else that we might want to talk about. So I think with that, I'll shut up and open the floor.
So does anybody have any questions for Jay about the survey?
I like the way it's done. I like to also make sure you have the comment section in there because people will have opinions.
Oh,
and
yeah.
thoughts. It's like watching Facebook.
Hey. Oh yeah, right. Instead of just watching Facebook.
Right.
Hey, Jay, it's Kate.
Yeah.
And sorry if I missed this since I can't see it, but is there a way to rank people's interests? Because I know that this, all of these proposals are very overwhelming. So it'd be interesting to see what people, value the most, because everybody's going to have, their own opinion about who or what department needs to be funded first, I guess.
So yes. One of the nice things about this survey platform is that we can do that. And so yes, we will be able to show what, ranked the highest, what ranked the score, and we'll be able to do that in different ways. So we will be able to.
Yep.
Is that based on people's yes or no answers or something on each question?
It'll be based on the number of people that responded in a particular. So as an example, if you're looking at the library, one of the options is excellent. We'll be able to see how many people selected that, excellent. And we'll be able to depict that in different ways. You can see it numerically. You can see it in graphic form. There's a multiple ways that we can do it.
Okay. And is there anything that tells you how many times somebody has taken it? Or is it possible for anybody to go in and take it multiple times? So
that's a really good point. There's a couple of ways to manage that. Ideally, if you want to maximize participation, we allow anybody to participate. But through this system, if the same email address sends in more than one, I actually get an email notifying me that somebody else from this address is participating in the survey. So one of the things we could do is flag it. However, if that's a concern, we could block it. So we could stop somebody from being able to do it more than once from the same device, I should say.
Is that by device or email address?
It's by device. I apologize for that. So it's theoretically possible for somebody to do it from your PC and then do it from your phone.
Okay.
I wouldn't know that if somebody did that. But that's going to be a minority of people, realistically. So it's not perfect, but that's a limit. There's also some other things that we could do. I mentioned that generally I think it's best to allow people to participate anonymously because it maximizes participation. But that's a choice. We could decide that you have to do what's called light registration, which is you leave an email address, or a heavier registration where you actually put your name, email address, physical address. So again, I lean towards anonymous, but that's an option. An intermediate step, and I have done this before, is you can take the survey anonymously, but if you want to leave a comment, the comments, again, these are all choices. There's a lot of choices in here, but generally the way this works is when somebody goes in to fill out the survey, they will be able to see people's comments. We can do that live or we can wait till the end, but ultimately you're going to be able to see people's comments. So what I typically do is say, if you're going to leave a comment, a written comment, you do need to identify yourself. You do need to leave an email address. Again, that's a choice. We can allow people to comment anonymously, but the reason I like that is because any member of the public can participate in the meeting that we're having tonight. They can watch the meeting, but if they want to speak, they have to identify themselves. So that's kind of the middle road I take, but again, that's a choice. We don't have to do that.
I do like that idea, personally. The only reason why I bring it up is because we just recently had a school survey, and supposedly the high school had more surveys taken than there are students at the school. So
Right.
we've already had some issue, and I like to think it was just accidental. You know, one family took the survey and didn't realize that somebody else in the family had already spoken for the family, but I don't know. So I like that idea, though, at least making it public who is creating comments.
Right. And we do have a filter in here also for language. So if anybody's leaving a comment with offensive language, there's also, that gets red flagged. It doesn't automatically get kicked out, but I'll get an email saying red flag language. And so that's an opportunity to go in and say, we're not going to allow this comment to be shown. We would only do that. We would never do that based on content. It would only be because of, wording.
Sure. Okay.
This
Thanks.
is
That's all I have for right now.
this is Kim.
Okay.
I don't know if I saw it there or not. I see that you have the taking inventory of the current facilities we have.
Right.
In parks and all of that. Did we have a section here on what they would like to see that we don't have, whether it's like a community center or a health stop in the fire station or maybe something with the dump and recycling center? I'm not sure, but it seemed, did I miss it, or are we just focusing on what we have versus what maybe people would want? That's
Here
missing now.
So we did not include an aspirational question. What would you like to see that we don't have? But I could absolutely do that.
Maybe that's an open-ended one or something, but maybe as we go around town, I know people like here, we don't have a community center, we don't have a supermarket. A lot of that's private industry, but there could be some, general public buildings that we don't have in town that people might have an interest in.
So there's two ways I could do that. One way is do a question of is there anything that we don't have? I'm not. Obviously, this won't be the wording, but are there any facilities that we don't currently have that you would like to see in Litchfield? One way I could just leave that open-ended and let people suggest. Another way is we could put in some suggestions and then allow people to do an other comment. We can do either way.
More, yeah. Open
So,
to door.
Community center is one I've heard.
Thought maybe if they want, again, I don't know, a health stop or, those little wait 7 minutes, or maybe we have a section in the fire station for that. I'm not sure, but some kind of a first aid
Okay,
instead of going to Londonderry or Bedford.
right.
And I don't know if I saw anything on if anyone had any requirements for the dump at the recycling center, which is nice, but I don't know if anybody had idea on that facility.
We don't have anything. I haven't heard of anything proposed, but if there's anything else that anybody's aware of out there that we want to ask about, we might as well.
More like a recycling center, which we do a good job. I think Kate asked, but if people had a way to rank what they would want done first, say, maybe school's a priority or maybe the police station. We're rating the current status of it, and then what do you want to do with the old facility? But I don't know if people are ranking which one they would want done first if they had a choice.
So
I
the
can
way
tell you that the CIP committee, I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry.
Right.
The CIP committee has looked at each of the capital improvements, and we did put the Griffin Memorial School and the police station as top priority. So those two are going to be at the top of the list, and then everything else follows suit, however you want to organize it.
It goes out the public's voice. I mean, I know it's the CIP voice. So I'm not sure.
Right.
The goal, what is the goal of this? Is the goal to, again, current state of where we are, or is the goal to say, yes, we know we have 5 or 8 things we want, and the CIP might recommend one thing, and maybe they have more weight than what the public would want. And they might be in sync. I don't know.
I think the goal is to use this as input into drafting the community facilities chapter of the master plan. So some of these are things that are certainly going to be in the CIP in terms of actual proposed improvements. But, questions around the disposition of any of these properties, that's really not CIP. The CIP could consider that, but those are the kinds of things that I think that we're going to want to talk about. To your question, we will be able to get a sense of how many people support something or don't. If we felt that ranking was important, though, we could put in a question asking people to rank different proposed facilities. So that's another question that we could put in.
Because it seems like the CIP group's working independently. Well, they're not independent. They have a cross-reference of everyone they're working with on their team. So our focus of this survey for the people taking it is for the planning board's master chapter.
Yes.
Right.
Right. Correct.
Ideally, there's alignment, but yes, that's right.
Strategy for the planning boards. Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Mr. Chair, it's Kevin Lynch. Can you hear me?
Yes.
The CIP and the planning board are actually supposed to be one and one. Okay, it's part of the growth. I think if the CIP is doing a good job of getting stuff to us to be used on the board, okay, to set priorities 1, 2, and 3. It's not their job, or I don't believe it is, but their job to set what's going to be 1 and 2. It's part of the master plan, the same way we had it before. So I think what the information that we're getting out of the CIP is going to be fed back to us, the board. Okay, and we put it into the master plan. Am I correct, Jay?
Yes. I mean, again, it's a choice for the board, but yes, I think ideally we'll get that. We're going to get that information pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then, ideally you want alignment.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, the CIP right now is going through the list of capital improvements for the town. And what's going to happen is that Jay is going to put all of that information together into a spreadsheet. The CIP is going to review it. There's going to be a public hearing, so the public will have an opportunity to comment on what the CIP is doing. And then it's going to come to us as the planning board, and we're going to review it, and we're going to make our recommendation. So
Correct.
There is a process that's in place. So just so you know, we will have an opportunity to make our comments as well.
Very good.
And depending on when we decide to put the survey out, most likely this survey will be out and we would have results back prior to that public hearing.
Understood.
If obviously we decide we want to do that, naturally.
Hey, Jay, are the costs written out on that survey, or is it just like, do you think an elementary school is important?
I did put the cost in.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
I felt it was important to do that. Where we had cost estimates, I felt we should include them.
Agreed.
Okay.
And what I can do is, after this discussion, make a couple of amendments based on the input that we had, and then I can get a draft of this out to everybody in a PDF form. Or, if you prefer, I can make it limited live and send everybody a link.
What'd you say?
Forget about the last part. So I guess the bottom line is I can send this to everybody as a link, so you can see it like I'm showing it now, how it would actually, the draft, how it would actually appear, or I can send a PDF, whatever people prefer. I could do it both ways, and then you could access it the way you is easiest.
Both ways sounds good.
Both ways.
I can get help. Mr. Chair, one more thing I'd like to talk about on this. At the end of this whatever, Jay, when Jay, this is done, I think at the end there should be a section that's just blank, or any other thoughts or anything like that.
Yep.
The reason why I say that, we got it done all the way down the line. A bunch of people may want something else that's not listed there. So we can add that, okay?
It's a good thought. Yeah, I could do that.
And I know, Jay, you mentioned it. I think it might be a good idea maybe to put something into the survey about the energy efficiency costs for the school and also the fire department. I know we talked a lot about that last night at CIP.
Okay.
So we might want to put that in there as well.
Yeah, I can do that. Those are not inexpensive items.
Well, the fire department is.
So I
Yes,
think,
I'll
I
do
think it
that.
looks good. And I think this is definitely going to be very, very helpful to us in as we go forward. So
Okay.
Thank you for doing this, and thank you for all the hard work going into this.
Absolutely. All right, so
Mr.
I
Chair?
have one more question.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there anything in there to say how important do you think it is to not change anything at all? Because I think there will be I think that should be a rankable option based on how a lot of warrant articles seem to go in town.
So in a rank choice question, I could do that. Sure.
No, I mean if it can be set up the same way as questions are asked now, and then we can use the data to rank them if you think that's the better way to do it. But I just think that there's going to be a lot of loud voices saying, look at this, wish list of things that we're going to ram through in the next 5 years, when that's not the intent. It's just trying to get an idea. So I think that option should be available for people to say, I don't want anything at all.
Okay.
And that is important. And that is important to me.
Do you see that as a freestanding, as a question of its own, or an option that we include under each proposed improvement?
I think it'd be a good idea under each proposed improvement. This way it'll give us, the board, a more direction as to what they want or what they don't want. It's more, I want to say, concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I could do that. That makes sense. Because right now you have the option of saying don't know, no opinion, or other.
Correct.
This is clearer. Basically maintain status quo.
Yeah.
Yep, I think there's a good proportion in town that would choose that option.
Okay, that's a good point. I'll add that.
I didn't expect that from you, Kate.
Hey, I'm trying to speak for everybody. It's not just me.
Are you saying
I don't
for
live
the
in a
first
vacuum.
question? This is Kim. Are you saying for the first question where they say rate the current building, but then they might want to say, but don't do anything about it?
No, if I may, I think it would be as an example when we have a question on the police department. Would you support a new facility?
Right.
We say yes, no, not sure, no opinion, and other, but adding the choice of basically retain existing facility, no change / retain. I think that's a good option to add for people because it is a different thought.
Yeah, and the other side of that too, the addition to the existing building instead of building another building by itself. You know what I'm saying? They may want to say add on to the existing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Keep the SAU in the old building.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Jay? Or
No, I'll make these changes. I'll get everybody a draft out so you've got another bite at the apple, and then if it looks good for people, we can just go ahead and launch it.
Stay inside where it's cool.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, this
Thank
is
you.
Ron. Okay,
Hey, Ron.
can you hear me?
Yes.
This is
Ron, we
Ron.
can hear you.
I just wanted to ask if I'm being a little too picky when I ask this question. In the very first statement there, it's based on your experience. Please rate the overall adequacy of the following. The word adequacy, should we define that just a little bit? In other words, what are we finding? What are we finding adequate?
What are we finding?
What are we finding adequate? Are we looking for physical appearance, the usage? Should we define the word adequate a little bit?
So would the word quality be a better word?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Well, this is probably why we use multiple words. So I could say adequacy, quality, or condition of the following facilities.
I
Oh,
think
efficiency.
condition is good too. And efficiency, yeah, they're both good.
I think if you put a definition in there, Jay, of adequacy and what you're asking for, I think Ron is looking for, and it's the legal sense of it, regarding the existing conditions or the existing use, existing condition. Adequacy is all those little things that describe life.
Okay, so I can certainly add the qualifying words of quality and condition to that.
Very
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Or meeting the needs. I think if you say quality, obviously some of the buildings are in very poor condition.
Right.
But is it meeting the need? You know, if it was status quo. I know we're splitting hairs here, but I think quality or cosmetic could send them down a different road too.
True.
It's a tough, I understand it's a tough word here.
If
I mean, you
Alphabet was
could break it up
experiencing
into
power
two
outage,
different
but there is one
questions.
now.
Yeah.
You, like what? You're saying one being, I don't know, cosmetic or useful or meeting our needs, I don't know.
I'll come up with some language. I'll put it in there.
Thank you.
And if we want to massage it a bit, we certainly can.
I don't want to throw another wrench in it, but I will. Our town isn't growing that fast, I don't
It
think.
won't.
But we may be, we're going to be having this master plan chapter for 10, 15 years, probably, maybe 10. I don't know if we need to foresee. I know the school is in flux right now with remote, not remote or whatever, but in 10 years, if we envision that we might grow a building, something to look at maybe.
That's definitely, I mean, in terms of the master plan community facilities chapter, you know, aside from the survey is one piece of input, but we're definitely going to look at that. We'll look at, and we'll look at population projections, and we'll look at enrollment projections. So that's definitely that is going to factor into the master plan chapter as well. Definitely.